As I'm sure you heard, the Geneva International Motor Show was cancelled, but that didn't mean that car companies didn't have any cars to launch. So what happened is the Geneva International Motor Show kind of turned into the YouTube International Motor Show, with a lot of YouTubers going over there to cover the new launches. And in this video, we're gonna talk about my top 5 cars from this year's cancelled Geneva show when it comes to design, what I love about these cars, and also I'm gonna talk to you about a couple of cars that are worth mentioning, either for a good reason or for a bad reason, and I'm gonna cover that as well in this video. So let's jump in with design number 1. The first car that I want to talk to you about from this year's cancelled Geneva International Auto Show is the Polestar Precept concept. I made a full video sharing my thoughts on the precepts from Polestar, but to sum it up, it gets me excited about what's to come. The design reminds me of modern architecture, is less dynamic in its approach and more structured. The styling feels more of that of consumer electronics rather than automotive design. No information on range or motors yet, but I'm guessing it will be similar or even more powerful and better than the Polestar 2, which has a total of 408 horsepower and a range of 275 miles. Not too bad and not too great either, but as I've said before, we're just in the beginning of the EV conversion of the entire car fleet of the world, so these numbers are always going to continue to go up as technology improves. It's just a great Swedish design and a glimpse into what we can expect to see from Polestar as a standalone brand. Second car on the list, and yes, we're continuing with the Swedes here. Lots of cool tech coming from my motherland these days, and the Koenigsegg Jumeirah is definitely part of that. I covered the DNA of this design and my thoughts on this in a separate video, which is listed in the description below if you want to go check that out. But simply put, this car just blows me away, not only with its 1700 horsepower, but the engineering that went into this 3-cylinder 600 horsepower engine in combination with the electric 1100 horsepower motors on the front axle and the capability of carrying 4 people comfortably, with each having space for their own carry-on luggage, is just nuts. Then we have the design of this thing. It's simply beautiful. Koenigsegg really nailed it with the Jumeirah, and I can't wait to see it in real life. Third car on the list is the BMW i4 concept. It got some nostrils on the BMW i4 concept. It's interesting because with it being all electric, it doesn't need to breathe, and to me this is interesting. It's fresh and innovative. I always like when car companies try to really revamp the design language of their company, but still keeping the main features and the main identities of the car, of the brand intact, but integrating them in a new way. And I think that's what's going on here with the i4 concept. It goes back 100 years in history and brings back the big vertical kidneys of that time, interpreted in a new modern way. I really like it, and we better get used to it, because this will be the face of the production version without any major changes. It will also be the face of the next 4 series in M4. I'm not a huge fan of the squinty angled headlights on this car. I like to see them more horizontal and give them a little more room to open up their eyes. Now, there will likely be changes from the concept going into production, so maybe we'll see them open up their eyes a little bit more in production, who knows. Number 4 on the list is something that I'm really excited about, and that is the Hyundai Prophecy concept. It's definitely one of the most beautiful sculptures in this list that I'm listing here. The thing I'm most excited about with this concept is that Hyundai says that the pixelated lights in the front and the rear will carry over to the production version, and it will eventually become a part of the design identity of the brand. So we're gonna see a lot of Hyundais with cool pixelated lights in the future. I think that's a really interesting thing. It's such a smooth design that's broken only by the transparent rear spoiler in the back, which houses the brake lights and the rear view camera. And I love the name too. It's such a cool name. Prophecy. It just sounds right. We knew the change was coming, and this is the answer to it. This car to me makes me feel like the joy of car design is slowly coming back. It kinda makes me want to apply for a job as a designer with Hyundai. I mean, what else am I going to do with my master's degree diploma in car design. Number 5 on the list is the Fiat 500e. Continuing on the wave of joyful designs from the Hyundai, it doesn't really get much better than the new Fiat 500e. This car is exactly what urban environments need right now. I remember seeing these cars everywhere when I lived in Milan, and I bet you that not even 1% of them drove further in a day than the max range of the 500e, which is 199 miles. The motor develops 118 horsepower, which is totally fine. It doesn't need a 600 horsepower tri-motor just yet. 0 to 60 takes about 9 seconds, and the top speed is 93 miles per hour. But does that really matter here? Charging up to 80% of range takes only 35 minutes using an 85 kilowatt charger. It's a funky little commuter car. I've always been a fan of the design of the 500, and this refresh looks just right. So those were the first 5 cars that stood out to me in a great way from this year's cancelled Geneva Auto Show. Now I want to talk about 5 cars that stood out to me and are interesting in one way or the other. And the first one is the Bentley Merlin Butler. It's $2 million, dash made out of 5,000-year-old wood. Only 12 will be made, and it's powered by a 650 horsepower, 667 pound-feet of torque W12. It's all cool. It looks great too, as long as you keep your eyes off the rear bumper. Here's the problem I have with the Mulliner Butler. They say it has the DNA of the Bentley EXP 100 GT concept. An all-electric, beautiful continental cruiser with massive butterfly doors, 4 electric motors generating enough torque to stop the rotation of the Earth, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, and a top speed of 186 miles per hour. The interior atmosphere can be changed by just letting the integrated AI know what you like, which, by the way, communicates with you through a hand-cut illuminated crystal. You can choose to dim the entire glass roof for privacy or experience an open-top feeling by capturing light, sounds, scents, and the air quality from the outside world inside of the cabin. So when they say that the Bentley Merlin Butler has the DNA of the EXP 100 GT concept, it has to be a less sophisticated second cousin. Compare the two, and the Mulliner Butler feels like a regular Continental GT convertible with a fancy body kit. I would have been way more okay with the car being marketed as a standalone limited edition without tying it too much to the 100 GT concept, because in my eyes that just made it a whole lot more disappointing. Another car that I really want to bring up is the Alfa Giulia GT. A lot of people love this car, and I can definitely see why. It's a 4-door Ferrari sedan. What's not to like? Well, there's a big problem here. This is an Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo is the essence of Italian car design, the perfect blend of elegance, grace, and mad performance. The Giulia Quadrifoglio got this right. Just the proper amount of aero, nothing unnecessary. All the bits on the car serve a specific purpose. With the Giulia GTA, they went full Need for Speed Underground, over the top. Could have possibly worked on any other brand, but you don't do this with an Alfa Romeo. So Alfa, don't lose your identity and become like every other brand nowadays that just put bits and pieces onto the car and automatically calls it a new model. Do what you've always done and stay classy. The third car that I want to bring up is the Aston Martin V12 Speedster. As a sculpture, it's beautiful. It seems every supercar maker has to make at least one of these windshield-less roadsters. It's a cool design exercise for sure that I feel we've seen 102 times before. But hey, it looks great. 2 more cars I want to talk about, and the next one is the Golf GTI. The new Golf GTI, what a disappointment in design. The Golf GTI is supposed to be the crazy little brother in the family, the one that can't sit still, always ready to go and do something fun. This to me looks like a first-year law student that's forgotten about the exciting times back in the day and decided to become an adult. We don't need more adult cars in the world. And the last car is the Morgan Plus 4. Yes, the Morgan Plus 4. This is what we need. The weekend driver's car. Is it practical? practical? Absolutely not. Do I care? Absolutely not. This car is about the essentials of driving. I love everything about it, and I hope it will be around for a long time to come. Those were my thoughts on the cancelled Geneva show of this year. It feels like there's two ways you can go nowadays when you launch a new car. Either you can take the old traditional route and hope that people will be excited because it's a new car from a sports car brand or something like that, even though the technology is still ancient. Or you can launch something really crazy. Nowadays, these concepts are closer to reality than they were if they launched a similar concept, say 10 years ago, because the changes are in fact coming. Let me know what your favorite car from the show was in the comments below. I'm TheSketchMonkey. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Take care.